Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I have a little double feature. I have two pocket knives here from CJRB. If you didn't see my previous video, I was talking about a different model and I focused a little bit on the name CJRB. And if you don't know, this is a sub-brand for artisan cutlery, and this actually translates to China artisan blade. So I have two different models here. I have the Caldera and I have the Feldspar. All right, two interesting knives. This one here is the Caldera, and this one here is the Feldspar. This one specifically is the J1912-NTG. All right, two totally different knives, but I kind of want to show them together here, just a little bit of a double feature. Getting back to kind of focusing on some of the knife reviews. I had a ton of knives that were just kind of hanging around, and the three CJRBs were just on my list to do a video on them because I've used all these on and off in probably the last 6 months or so. But yeah, instead of making individual videos, I figured I'd show them, talk a little about them together here. So first off, we have the Caldera. Now this one's a little more expensive at 60 bucks. Keep in mind the CJRB is the budget version of artisan cutlery, so none of them are going to be super expensive. But this is the most expensive of the three that I've tried recently. At 60 bucks, pretty cool knife. Some specs, 3.5 inches here. This is sporting an AR RPM9 blade steel. What is that? That is essentially a 9 CR18 MOV. That's the best way I can kind of describe it. It's not specifically 9 CR18, but that's essentially what it is. It is a proprietary name for their own steel there, and it's equivalent to about a 9 CR18. All right, so AR RPM9. If you ever see that, that's what's going on with that. Sometimes, some different knife companies like to make something special, so they kind of rename a blade steel. And of course, I'm sure there is an actual alteration. In fact, Artisan says that there's a rare earth element that's added in, but they won't specify what that is. So, it makes it kind of intriguing and special. It's not a super steel. It's totally fine on a $60 knife. I can't complain. That's about the best I can describe it, though. It's similar to like a 9 CR18. So anyway, closed here is 4.8 inches. We have some G10. Obviously the red and black theme is kind of cool. And the total weight here is 4.9 ounces. So you can see we have a liner lock, locks up perfectly. There's no blade play, up, down, left, or right. The flipper on the back works totally fine. There's a little bit of jimping, very, very light. There's two lines there basically, but works fine. I do like, some flippers are, it's total hit and miss sometimes. Sometimes they're like super low profile and they're uncomfortable. And then sometimes they're like sticking way out past the knife that's ridiculous. And sometimes even those are uncomfortable too. But you have the sweet spot where it's not too big, not too small. This is kind of in that zone where it's totally usable, but it's not obtrusive, all right? Works fine. I have no issues at all with flipping that out. There is a large slot on here though, in case you didn't want to use the flipper. If you want to manually push that out, you certainly can. It is large enough where with gloved hands, it's very easy to access that. All right, so if you're the Spyderco hole fan because you're always using gloves or something, that would appeal to you, having that giant slot in there. So yeah, this has a flat ground blade. It is somewhat of a modified drop point here, very wide blade. All right, obviously this one is black coated. All right, you can see a logo on the front here. If I zoom in on the back, all right, you can see the model number as well as that blade steel. Again, AR RPM9. That's what that is, blade steel. All right, back out. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that, stands apart as being like totally amazing. It works good. The ergonomics are actually really nice on it. A smaller finger choil that's here, a little bit of a dip, and then that long flat, which allows many different hand sizes. I do have XL size hands, and it feels totally fine in the hand. The jimping that's on the back of the blade here is very soft. And what I mean by soft is it's not very grippy. It does do its job as jimping, but barely. If I have to, years and years and years ago, I probably should have created a scale of how grippy jimping is, 1 to 10 or something. I never did that. Either it works or it doesn't work, or it's uncomfortable sometimes. If I had to say like a 1 is nothing, it doesn't exist, and a 10 is like it's gonna rip my skin off my thumb, this has got to be around a 2, okay, if that gives you a reference as to how grippy that is. So it's there, you can feel it's there. but it's really low on the scale as far as, you know, creating any kind of grip. As far as the pocket clip, this one carried very nicely in the pocket. All right, we have skeletonized clip. It is deep conceal, although even though it's deep conceal, because of that red, you can see that poking up a little bit here. But it works great. It's very flexible, all right, the clip. So even with some thicker material pants, it's very easy to get that on. There is a lanyard hole, which is a diamond shape that goes through the whole body there. We can see the nice red backspacer, which is aluminum. It doesn't bother me that much, but the aluminum collar, the pivot collar that's around there, and the backspacer are obviously aluminum, so it's a slightly different red color than the G10. But it's kind of cool though. I mean, it's just kind of a funky design. There is some like star pattern cutouts here. All right, remind me a little bit of a Wilson Combat type look on that. But yeah, I mean, for 60 bucks, it's cool. It's definitely just another option. I do like the aesthetics of like a fat, big blade and a skinnier handle. I just think it happens to look more aggressive overall. So yeah, that's one option from CJRB, the Caldera. And again, with all these knives, they have different color options as well, in case you just don't like that red and black thing. The red and black thing I think is cool. Sometimes to me, it comes across as cheap. So it really just depends on whatever knife, I mean, whatever specific thing you're looking at. Sometimes it looks a little gas station-esque, the black and red, but other times it does, you know, you can pull it off. In this case, I think it's kind of in the middle. It doesn't make it look super cheap, but for some reason, some like really high-end knives, you don't really see as much of that type of color. You'll see, you know, Damascus and some different things along those lines, maybe some anodized titanium. That's where you get a lot of the color in, you know, the real high-end stuff. But hey, nothing wrong with it though. I like it. All right, so the other knife here is the Feldspar. All right, this one sells for 40 bucks. This one's rocking a D2, just like the Krag, which was my original video. Totally different knife. Also very nice. If I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick this one. It's a little bit plainer. Like this just looks kind of cooler. It looks a little bit more different. There's a lot of different style and shape going on with this, whereas this guy is a little bit more plain, subdued, you know. I do love the Jade G10 on here. This does have a little bit of pop of color around the pivot collar is a gold colored aluminum, I'm assuming. We have a nice little shorter pocket clip. All right, also carry very nice. Again, these clips are, you know, spring steel, and they do have a lot of give before they would actually bend. All right, flow through design, some standoffs, although the standoffs are not gold. It would be kind of cool to match, but it's not. The hardware, standoffs, pocket clip, obviously all kind of stainless steel color. Dual thumb studs on this one. All right, so no flipper, no, you know, opening hole like the other knife there. This is really straightforward. I happen to still be a huge fan of thumb studs. With all the flippers and locking mechanisms out there, I can still get down with a simple knife with a thumb stud. All right, so pops open very nicely, locks up very good. As far as ergonomics, it just feels nice. Everything's just a little bit rounded here. I do feel the pocket clip a little bit here on the Feldstar. On the Caldera, I did not. All right, this blends in, I don't know, maybe because it's just a little close to the frame there. I don't even feel like there is a pocket clip on this particular knife. However, here I do feel it, but it's not a hot spot. I think I said the same thing for the Krag, where you know it's there, especially if you're really gripping down, you could feel it, but it's not irritating the hand. All right, so I don't really have any problems with it. Blade on this guy is, as I mentioned before, D2. It's also 3.5 inches long. It is a flat ground drop point blade. Again, more traditional than this particular knife. Closed 4.6 inches, and this one weighs 4.1 ounces. All right, so for 40 bucks, a D2 liner lock, essentially, but the nice Jade G10, which is super popular these days, and just a really simple, clean design. So that is that's pretty much it. I mean, just two more options. These knives kind of took over, not just this brand, but you know, all kinds of similar knives. What I mean they took over is like when I first got into the knife scene, there was a ton of CRKTs, a ton of Kershaws, and like even though CRKT is constantly making knives and so is Kershaw and stuff, those kind of went to the back burner as far as like the knife community online and then what people are talking about. I don't hear a whole lot of conversations about the newest CRKT stuff. I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about, you know, the newest Kershaw models, but I do hear people talking about the new CJRBs or the new Civivis, you know, or similar. So they kind of took the scene by storm, and again, anywhere from like, you know, $20 to $70, let's say. That's that sweet spot of, you know, a budget knife. Now, some people are super focused on, like, you know, like extra budget friendly knives, a $20 to $30 range, but I would say about the $50 range or less is it's just super popular. You know, it's kind of interesting because I hear more and more about these Chinese companies like CJRB and Civivi and similar, where you're talking like a range from like $20 to $75. That range, it used to be in the 90s, it was filled with Kershaw, CRKT, you know, maybe SOG, companies like that. And now you're seeing the insurgence of all these different Chinese companies, and they're making the same quality blades for the same price or less. You know, I still love CRKT, I love Kershaw, I love SOG. All these companies have different new things to offer. It's just, I'm just saying when people are talking about knives, these newer generations of users and collectors and stuff, I just hear about brands like this more often. That's why I was most interested in trying it myself. I have used a multitude of knives from Artisan Cutlery. I think they're all great. They have one particular model that I'm still trying to get my hands on. It's a Balisong that's also an automatic, which is interesting. It's been out for a couple of years now, but I want to get a hold of it, try it myself, make my own video on it. But it was only, you know, recently when I kind of, or when I say recently, in the last year, that I kind of focused on this brand a little bit just to see what they were all about. And I'm here to say they're good. You know, they're run-of-the-mill stuff. Like I said, if you're used to Kershaw, CRKT, they're in that range. You're getting the same quality or slightly better for the price. And obviously, like any knife company, there's a bunch of different designs to choose from. You know, someone might love this and think this is really cool looking and think that's plain, or maybe you think this is really cool looking and that's ugly to you. You know, who knows? To each their own, right? When it comes to knives, it never ceases to amaze me what people think are cool looking and what people think are lame. I've had comments where I love the knife, I thought it was awesome, and someone's like, dude, that's so ugly. Yeah, you know, Spyderco Dodo, I guess, would be on the forefront of that list. You know, and then the opposite too, where I think something's completely ugly and someone absolutely loves it. So there you go, guys. Just a couple new knives that are on the market here. Let me know if there's a CJRB model that you happen to be EDCing and you really like. You know, post it down in the comments. You know, it's a newer brand for a lot of people out there. They're not brand new as a brand, but I'm just saying it's newer to a lot of people, at least in my circle. You know, when I talk to people and I mention it, they don't know what I'm talking about. They never even heard of it. And half those people haven't even heard of Artisan Cutlery, which is even more well known, but not to everyone, you know. Always people learning, and even myself, there's new knife brands all the time, especially with like kickstarting programs and stuff. There's so many small companies, very small companies doing limited batches of stuff that I've never even seen. Instagram has been an amazing source for information for me. I've been exposed to so many different knife people that are making knives and making different types of gear that, you know, someone might have mentioned once. They might have dropped the name, and I'm like, who's that? And they're like, dude, you don't know who that is? He's all over Instagram. Yeah, well, that's where it is. Not everyone makes YouTube videos, you know? There's dozens and dozens and dozens of different awesome companies and knife makers that are posting on Instagram, and some of them don't make YouTube videos. Then there's some people who post on YouTube, but they don't go on Instagram. Then there's some people who don't do YouTube or Instagram, they're only on Facebook. You know what I mean? So you just, in 2022 and on, you kind of have to be on social media to be in the know. You know, there's always new things. So you might be like, wow, dude, I never even heard that before. Trust me, I might be the knife guy, but there's plenty of knife stuff I haven't heard of yet. There's just so much going on all the time, you know? So anyway, I thought it'd be kind of cool to try these ones out and talk about them. So there's my opinions. Like I said, if you've been into the company and if you happen to EDC one of the models, let everyone know in the comment section what it is and what you think of it. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.